consider 6 for your doctor to say it's abnormal. So if it's 6.1, the doctor will say there's no problem at all. If it's 5.9, they'll put you in the hospital and put a metal alert bracelet on you. 5.9 can kill you, 6.1 totally normal. And it's not uncommon. I've seen where the lab accidentally does the same cortisol test twice on the same tube of blood when I send in for the patient. And they usually are 4 to 8 points different from each other. So 5.9 can kill you, 6.1 normal? I don't think so. So how do you tell? Well, as we mentioned earlier, I ask, when people come in to see me, they often come with their spouse, and I ask them one simple question. Are there periods where it's like a light switch goes off, and if they don't feed you, you're going to kill them? We have 3 minutes to feed them, and the answer, and they both go like this, that's low adrenal. Irritable when hungry. And again, to treat it, vitamin C and pantothenic acid, those are already in the vitamin powder. And then licorice, get some licorice tea each morning. You want to find people with low adrenal? Go sit in a waiting room in a divorce attorney or a marriage counselor's office. Because you'll find that, it's very often the low adrenal that's sabotaging the marriage. Because the sugar goes down, the claws come out, and the other person goes, And you treat the adrenal, and often they don't need the marriage counselor or divorce lawyer anymore. Funny thing. Well, funnier when you're on the other end of it. How do I know? That's what got my first marriage. I am one. I'm a little sugar. Okay, so other things, DHEA can be helpful, but I like to do that under health practitioner supervision. So the hormones, using bioidentical hormones, very, very good way to go. Now, I for infections, there are literally dozens of infections. As we said earlier, the immune system is down, so your body is picking up many hitchhikers. You don't have to chase every infection. When you get your immune system working better again, it knows how to get rid of most of these infections. So the key things are what we talked about. Improve the digestion with a plant-based digestive enzyme, and take a really good probiotic. Most probiotics, again, they're healthy bacteria, you put them in the stomach, and one of the jobs of stomach acid is to kill anything that tries to get through, including the probiotics.
So you should take like Flora.
So you want to take it in a stomach enteric-coated. These are like little tanks that carry the healthy bacteria through the stomach acid. They won't dissolve in acid. And then when they get into the alkaline intestine, then the tank dissolves and releases all the troops. There's one by Nature's Way called Optima. Do they have the Optima here? Oh, they can have it up here. Good. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Any of these that say Optima on it. I don't care which of the 3. 1 a day. They're a very good probiotic. I will not use probiotics that are not enteric-coated because, again, it kills 99% of the healthy bacteria when they hit stomach acid, and the one or two that make it through the fight aren't going to be putting up much of a fight against the yeast. So to treat yeast, 1, you stop feeding the buggers because they eat sugar, so you got to starve them. So cut out the sugar, take the probiotics. There's all kinds of natural antifungals, but for the yeast, the diflucan, which is a medication, is very important. And I find that 200 milligrams a day for 6 weeks is what's needed. In addition, there's a sinusitis nose spray that IPC Pharmacy makes. If you have sinusitis, I'll give you the diflucan, the sinusitis spray, this prescription, and the sinusitis very often goes away, as does a lot of the other things. I will look for other things. I'll look for parasites. Most labs don't have a clue. If there's a 12-foot parasite in the stool sample with a red flag saying parasite, they come back negative for ovarian parasites. The lab techs are not trained. I asked one of them once what their training was for parasitology. One of them worked at a lab. They said, they put a piece of poop on a slide. They say, see that? I said, all I see is poop and then off to the next. That was it. It's insanely poor training. So there are labs that you can send the stool to that they know how to do it. That's also in the book. The Geneva Labs, go online, very good one. And there are times that I will give antivirals and antibiotics. Most times we don't need it. Sometimes we do. Some people have Lyme's, other things. The book will talk about, that's kind of beyond the scope of the talk, but there's articles in my book, Fem Fatigue's Fantastic, that say how you tell if you need those. Here are the 3 new Optima ones. I've been using other ones for a while, and now I'm switching to these. They're just really, really good probiotics. Other infections, Epstein-Barr, CMV, HHV6, Lyme, chlamydia, it's like alphabet soup. You don't have to chase all of them. The tests for infections are horribly unreliable. I wouldn't give a nickel for most of them, including the Lyme's test or Candida test. You treat clinically based on symptoms. Now let's finish up. We're going to address two things. Number one is pain. How many of you have significant pain? Really common, big part of the disease. And the thing is that if you look at most pain medications, like Motrin family medications, those medications, or gratis medicines, cause 30,000 plus preventable deaths a year in the United States.
Really?
Now you would think 30,000 deaths, that's a lot of people. It should be all over the news. This is what the research shows. Study just last year in British Medical Journal of over 100,000 people, sort of doubling to tripling of heart attack death. Another study a while back showed 16,500 deaths from bleeding ulcers a year. But it's not news anymore. And the funny thing, it's an interesting thing. I mean, I'm on the media a lot. I'm on the news and the rest. But understand that their biggest advertisers are food processors and drug companies. They really don't want to piss them off. And the studies that talk about the problems, until that drug has been yanked, they won't talk about it. Now you get a hemorrhoid from an herbal, it's all over CNN. But 30,000 deaths from arthritis medications, that'll work. So, and those medications don't work worth a darn anyway for fibromyalgia pain. So, one, why do you have pain? We talked about before, it's an energy crisis. Muscles need more energy to relax and to let it spring. Low energy, muscles get locked in a short position, they hurt. Think about it. If you get writer's cramp from writing, the muscles don't go loose and limp, they go tight. Rigor mortis, tight as a board. Now, pain is not the enemy. Pain is like the oil light on your body's dashboard saying that something desperately needs attention. Now, if you took your car into the doctor and you said, there's this annoying red flashing light on my dashboard, what would the doctor do? They'd put a Band-Aid over it and say, is that better now? You go, okay. And then you'd burn your motor out a couple miles down the road and say, God, what an unlucky day, you know? Not even make the connection. There are people that are born with genetic disease where they're born without a pain system. You say, that's great. No, they are horribly crippled by their teens and dead by 20. Because they have their hand on a hot stove, they don't know until they smell burning. They break their leg, they get up and try to walk away. So pain is your body's way of saying something needs attention. Now, most of the time, when you give it shine, sleep hormones, treat the infections, inflammation, impingement, nutritional support, and exercise, the pain goes away. We showed this in our studies. But there's other things you can do, because again, it's never acceptable to be left with chronic pain. It's just not. So, even looking at medications, you don't want to use the Motrin family NSAIDs. If you're going to use medications, Ultrams, Galaxin, Neurontin, even Lyricus and Valtus and Bella. But better yet, the herbal remedies are very effective for pain. My book, Pain Free 123, goes into more detail on pain, but let's go through some basic things. Number one, there's a product called N-Pain. Would you mind grabbing that one that says N-Pain? Yep. And it's a mix of willow bark, boswellia, and cherry. Head-on studies, willow bark twice as effective as Motrin. Boswellia is the old herb frankincense. The three wise guys really knew what they were talking about. Frankincense is an old classic. It's an amazing anti-inflammatory. Very good for asthma and colitis as well as pain. Dropped arthritis pain 90% after 8 weeks in one study. Remarkable stuff. So that's what boswellia is frankincense. And cherry is anti-inflammatory too. So the N-Pain, 2 tablets 3 times a day. Give it 6 weeks to see the effect. Medications poison systems, so they work right away. The herbals build systems. They rebuild your body. So it takes, you'll see effects within days a lot of times, but give it 6 weeks. It can be taken with the pain medications. In addition, I'll use herbals, things that have a very highly absorbed curcumin, and there's curcumin boswellia willow bark combinations as well. Those can be taken even with the N-Pain. So there's the curcumin products, you want the ones that are highly absorbed. Most of them are not. Let's see what time we're at here. Okay, so I'm just going to go through. There's a lot of studies looking at, here's back pain with the willow bark, twice as effective as a Motrin, blah, 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 many studies. Boswellia, more studies, blah, blah, blah. Okay, other pains, nerve pain, that burning in your hands and feet, that shooting pains. Lipoic acid, 300 milligrams twice a day, especially in diabetes. And acetyl L-carnitine, 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams a day. Help heal nerve pain, but it takes 3 to 6 months. Inositol and B12 and B6, that's all in the vitamin powder already. So the vitamin powder, again, was also built for people with diabetes. The lipoic acid, 300 milligrams twice a day. Carpal tunnel syndrome. How many of you have that? You wake up in the middle of the night feeling they have to shake your hands out because they're numb. And you'll see that from the nerve pinching. Treating the thyroid and the B6 and the vitamin powder is going to be enough for most people. And a wrist splint that keeps your hand in the neutral position. Neutral is like holding a glass of water. You have that called a wrist, cock-up wrist splint is the name. And after 6 weeks, most of the carpal tunnel syndrome will go away. Thyroid, B6 wrist splint. Migraines, we talked about that earlier. Magnesium, vitamin B2. Quickest way to get rid of acute migraine headache, short of decapitating somebody, is 1 to 2 grams of magnesium intravenously over 15 minutes. Double-blind studies makes the headache go away in 85% of cases, won't come back for the other attacks. More effective than Demerol. For prevention, again, take the vitamin powder and take some coenzyme Q10, 200 milligrams. Let's simplify it. And that'll give most of what you need. Interestingly, how many of you take medications like Imitrex for migraines? What you'll find is that if you take the Imitrex, before you get tenderness around your eyes and ears, it'll work. But once you feel like your eyeglasses are starting to be heavy and hurting, it won't work anymore. Yeah. Once you get to that, the inside of the head is one thing, but when you're starting to feel around your eyes and ears, at that point the Imitrex won't work. So the interesting thing, a lot of times you say, well, let's put it off until we can't stand it and then take it. That's usually a good idea. When you're getting a migraine, you need to catch it early with the Imitrex, or the Imitrex won't work. Once you have that tenderness around your eyes and ears, you can get Excedrin migraine, which in head-on studies is as effective as Imitrex. The thing is, the Imitrex is 25 bucks a pill, and the Excedrin is 25 cents. So which one do you think your doctor will hear about? Well, the Excedrin migraine, did they pull it? Okay, then just get the Tylenol 500 milligram, aspirin 500 milligram, and a cup of coffee. Make it even cheaper. And you can take double that dose. Actually, it's usually the higher dose will work better. Pain relief, arthritis, again, the same things. The end pain, the curcumin products, the glucosamine. Anybody here with osteoporosis, loss of bone density? Okay, strontium. Okay, strontium.
I'm old.
No, you're not. Strontium, 340 to 680 milligrams a day, more effective than the Fosamax, almost twice as effective. For the rheumatoid arthritis, in addition to the things we talked about for regular arthritis, glucosamine, MSM, the end pain, antibiotics, doxycycline, has been shown to be very effective in repeated double-blind studies for rheumatoid arthritis. But what your doctor going to hear about? Not 5 cents a day doxycycline. They're going to hear about $25,000 a year DMARDS medications.
By the grace of God, I'm not on any prescription medications.
Well, if you're doing well, then it's working. And that means, and here you're laying a trip on yourself for being an old lady. I don't buy that stuff for a second. Most of the people who say they have rheumatoid arthritis are 30 years old. What?
Scoliosis. Well, I've had it since 95 and I'm in my 70s, so for what it's worth, whatever, I want to keep on moving. Like the 91-year-old said in the complaint, just keep on moving.
Age, I think, somebody asked me last night, how old are you? And I said, I act like a 6-year-old and I'm eternal. And I don't think 10, 20, 30 years, one way or the other, matters. Our souls are probably millions of years older, God knows how much. So this whole myth in this country about age is made to scare people to sell them stuff.
Well, Maureen Salome told me I had 47 lifetimes. This is my last lifetime of material body, so I better...
I think she was being optimistic.
But is there anything in an all-natural way, pain-wise, as opposed to osteoporosis, which I'm sure I have?
Why are you sure you have it?
As opposed to rheumatoid arthritis, which apparently has some kind of germs similar to gangrene.
Well, it's a chlamydia infection in most cases, and there's an infection that the body fights, but that infection looks to the body the same as the joint cartilage. So when it puts out the thing to fight the infection, it fights the joint, inflames the joint cartilage too. And that's why the doxycycline or minocycline antibiotics work, because they knock back that infection. So, but in terms of pain relief, again, glucosamine sulfate, 700 milligrams twice a day. MSM, 2,500 milligrams a day. The N-Pain formula, 1 to 2, 3 times a day. The good curcumin product is highly absorbed, adding that in there as well. So all of these things will help the pain in rheumatoid arthritis.
How about a TENS unit?
Oh?
TENS unit.
TENS units can help pain in some people. They're electrical stimulation units. More effective are the frequency-specific microcurrent. And that's an even better approach. Now, for those of you who want more information about pain, including rheumatoid arthritis, get the book Pain Free 123. You can get that on Amazon. Very nice book that goes through things. So just to wrap up, again, shameless plug. I'm happy to see folks who want to be seen for fibromyalgia and CFS. My new patient visits are 4 hours of my one-on-one time. We do it by phone and in person. If you're interested, email at office@nft.com or call 410-573-5389. It's a very thorough appointment. We put together the entire, what you need to do, a full body and mind-body picture. Thankfully, I can tell what you're on physically in 20 minutes. But it takes the rest of the time. The insurance does not cover it. The insurance will pay for a 6-minute visit. You can't treat fibromyalgia in 6 minutes. So a lot of doctors try to, because they throw Prozac at you and say next. But that's the thing about that online symptom energy analysis program. Well, there's a lot of other complementary things that are helpful. But let's go to the energy analysis program. So again, at nfatigue.com, I have 2 websites. nfatigue.com, where we have the email newsletter and the energy analysis program. And then there's Vitality 101, where I talk about different illnesses. The FDA says I can't talk about illnesses on sites where I talk about product names. So Vitality 101 is all generic. And then the N-Fatigue site has what you do to optimize health. For those of you with iPhones, we have an app, Cures A to Z. About 1.5 million downloads at this point. iPhone and Android as well. It's free. My wife and I are trying to figure out what we charge for it. We finally figured out, make it free. And that was my wife's idea. She's the one who has the iPhone sutured to her arm. And there's a lot of other useful articles at the other. I want to wrap up by talking about the mind-body connection. I don't think any illness exists in a vacuum. I think there's a mind-body connection for all illnesses. And what you're going to find, let me give you the psychodynamic that I see very often with chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia. Think about these being an energy crisis, right? So think of what psychodynamic is a great way to blow energy and blow a fuse. Well, low self-esteem as a child, overachieving and trying to be all things to all people, and able to take care of everybody except one person. And who's that person? Yourself. And you can't say no. Have you ever noticed how you're getting a little bit of energy back and feeling a little brighter that way? And it's like there's a neon sign over your head that says, calling all energy vampires, emotional toxic waste dump open. And all of a sudden these people come over and first they put in the hooks. You're wonderful. If not for you, I don't know how I could live. All these different hooks. They got the hooks in them. And then they back up their emotional toxic waste dump truck and go, the day I've had, or the horrible thing, and they're dumping all this stuff on you. I call them energy vampires. How do you tell an energy vampire from a true friend? The true friend comes over and they can share their day and the rest, and you'll feel better for them coming over. An energy vampire, they come over, and when they leave, they feel great and you feel like you're dead. And there's a simple cure for that. You ignore your brain. That means taking a couple shots of tequila, whatever it takes. And you go ahead and you check in with your feelings. Your brain will tell you the programming you had as a child of what you should do to get approval. Your feelings will tell you what's authentic. If something feels bad, what do you say? No. And no is a very versatile word. It can be done gently, like, no, my doctor said if I take on one more thing, you drink my neck. Or it can be, no. There's a great t-shirt. It said, what part of no didn't you understand? And it's a single word sentence, complete sentence. So if things feel bad, you say, no. Very good. And again, if you need an excuse, if you have the chairwoman of 1,000 ways to waste everybody's time, they're walking down the street and you'll notice everybody's ducking for cover and you're like a deer in the headlights. And she comes up to you and goes, oh, we need somebody to chair the committee on 1,000 ways to waste everybody's time. And you're sitting there and your gut is going, run! And your feet are like fixed to the ground and out of your mouth comes, okay. Sound familiar? So here's what you do. We have a simple rule. Do not say yes to anything that's going to take more than 2 to 4 hours of your time without waiting the day and seeing. So what you tell her is you say, well, the doctor said, I'm the doctor, that he would wring my neck if I take on one more thing. So you blame me, not my name, the doctor. And he said, but I'll tell you what, if I change my mind, I will call you tomorrow. Having done that, that's enough so you can sneak away and get away. And then if you don't do anything, if you don't call her, it's an automatic no. You don't have to do a thing except go, oh, I dodged that bullet. Okay? So again, simple thing. Just learn to say no to things that feel bad and yes to things that feel good. And that includes even to people like me. If I say something and it doesn't feel good to you, then that shoe doesn't fit, just discard it. The things that do feel good, take and use. Well, it's the mega type A overachievers. These are people who basically it's not enough to feel worthy of living. It's not enough to be super successful. You got to be superwoman. And it's funny. It's not the valedictorians again. It's the salutatorians. It's the seconds in the class. And you know, it's funny. You know, we wonder what do we have to do to be worthy of living. And my cat just laughed at me when I said that. Yeah. Oh, let me get a sunbeam here. Oh, where's my cat food? You know? So all you need to know, you can learn from the kitty-cats. What other animal worries are we worthy? What do we have to do to be worthy of sunshine today? What can we possibly do? It's grace. There's nothing we can do to be worthy of sunshine and love and all these things. We get it because it's grace. Because the universe, God, Spirit, Goddess, whatever you want to call it, loves us. Just like the kitty cats. And just like all the critters out there, I'm not worried about being worthy. It's a silly thing. But we get these trips laid on us as kids. And we avoid saying no because you're afraid of losing approval. And the trick is to recognize, you know, all those people are trying to get approval from, they're not seeing us. All they're seeing are themselves. So you're free. Now, people ask me, well, should I get counseling? And the answer is, just like any severe illness, cancer, anything else, you get counseling if you feel like it. That's all. But again, know that people tend to go into what they have. I have chronic fatigue syndrome, my cardiology friend has heart disease, my gastroenterologist friend's are lactose intolerant, and my psychiatry friend's a neurotic. So you want to be careful because, again, some of them have done their inner work and they're brilliant, they're really, really good, but others are just projecting their stuff all over you. And it boils down to what I said before. See how things feel. If you're seeing a good counselor, it may be the hardest work you've ever done in the world, but it will feel good to go back. If you're seeing a counselor and your gut is going, run, run, tell them, you know, I'm not really comfortable here. I'm not comfortable. And then talk about it further. And if you're still not comfortable, run! Okay? And that's how you know. Because again, some of them are really good and some of them are crazy. So you want to make sure that psychoanalyst is one word and not two. So we talked about the resources. I have a Facebook page. I see patients 8 hours a week. And people say, well, you can double your income, you see 16 hours a week. And I say, no, 8 hours a week, I see people coming to see me. 8 hours a week, roughly, I'm spending answering questions for free for those who can't afford on my Facebook page. Now, the FDA didn't say, oh, you get a pink star for that or a gold star. They said, you're not allowed to talk about diseases. And if you're talking about natural things. Did you know there was actually a law brought up in the Senate last couple months ago? Rand Paul brought up an amendment to a bill saying simply it should be legal to discuss research on natural therapies. 85 senators voted against it. And it was, well, drug companies trying to threaten me. And it was funny, you know, legal to discuss natural therapies, of course. So you'll find on the Facebook page, if somebody asks how I treat arthritis, I won't say your arthritis gets better, the research shows if you do these, because they'll send me a nasty note. I say that to improve joint health, you can talk about optimizing health. So to improve joint health, here's what you do. So you'll find the language will come back, but I answer the question anyway. I just do it in the Texas two-step and boom, you know. So at facebook.com/Dr. Teitelbaum. I'm doing Q&A, I'm answering people's questions there also for about 6 to 8 hours a week.
Wow.
And again, it feels good to me, it's balanced. You know, the people who see me pay for everybody else to get the help with the online program with the other things those who can't afford. So there, you don't have to worry if you can't afford treatment. You can get well anyway. These tools are all there for you. Other books from Fatigue's fantastic. Has been the #1 best-selling book on CFS and fibromyalgia in history. It has been for the since 1996 and continues to be #1. If you look on Amazon, you see #1 CFS fibromyalgia. Pain Free 123, also a very good book. Beat Sugar Addiction Now, Real Cause, Real Cure. For those of you, there's a book that I wrote about 10 years ago for my patients called 3 Steps to Happiness, Healing Through Joy. And I just printed about 8,000 of them for my patients. And, you know, and then I just did the one round, I didn't reprint it. And I was looking on Amazon about a year ago and I saw people were selling the books for like $300. And I was like, okay, so I didn't want to reprint them, so I put it out as an ebook. For those of you who have Kindle readers, you can download it, it's like $10. But if you don't have a Kindle reader, you can download it at Vitality 101, I'm sorry, at nfatigue.com for like $8 or $9, just as a PDF file. It's a nice, simple book. I guarantee you, if you follow the directions, you'll go from wherever you are to feeling really happy, or your money back. How's that? It's 3 simple steps. So 3 steps to happiness, healing through joy. Real Cause, Real Cure. You have the book in your lap. That's my most recent one. It's an owner's manual for your body. It will give the overview of the fibromyalgia chapter. It'll give the overview of what we talked about tonight. So don't worry about it. So again, you can now get your vitality back and be pain-free. Even the standard medical journals are starting to pick up on it. This was an editorial in the Journal of the American Academy of Pain Management, noting Teitelbaum's treatment approach is an excellent and highly effective part of the standard of practice for treating fibromyalgia and muscle pain. So it's starting to get out there. So again, I appreciate everybody coming tonight, and I just want to finish with one thing. You know how you've spent all these years listening to people say, oh, it's not real, there's no treatment for it, blah, 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 blah. Well, that's yesterday's weather, that's yesterday's news. Here's today's news. Chronic fatigue syndrome, pain, and fibromyalgia are now treatable. This is a scientific reality of today. But I want you to hear yourself say that, just to see what that feels like. Let's say it together, really loud. Chronic fatigue syndrome, pain, and fibromyalgia are now treatable. That was pretty pathetic. How long have you been waiting for this news headline? Come on, so loud that anybody left in this door is like, calls 911, wondering what's going on. Chronic fatigue syndrome, pain, and fibromyalgia are now treatable. That's a little better. Okay, one more time, so that the people up the street over at Tony Roma's are wondering what's going on here. Loud as you can. Chronic fatigue syndrome, pain, and fibromyalgia are now treatable. And so they are. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I'm happy to take questions. Meanwhile, for those who would like to support the store and get yourself healthy at the same time, again, start with the energy revitalization system, get some Ribos, get your revitalizing sleep formula. Those are the main places to begin. If you want to get some coenzyme Q10, the Smart Q10 is very good. Digestion, the complete chest. Let me mention one other thing. Sleep tonight. For those of you who find that you're tired all day, tired today, then your head hits a pillow and it's wide awake. It feels like it's daytime. That's the adrenal problem. It's too low during the day and too high at night. The Sleep Tonight formula is very good for that. You'll know the first 2 nights, first night or 2 you take it. So anyways, I want to thank you all for coming, and I'm happy to stay and take questions. And floor is open.
Do I need to take Flora?
Do you need Flora? Yeah, most people with this disease need probiotics, and I would get some of the Optimum. Any one of those 3 Optimum.
Okay, the Q10.
The coenzyme Q10 is helpful for energy, but in terms of, you know, if you have X dollars to spend, the vitamin